Taking photos on a bright sunny day is not the ideal situation, but it's a common event for most of us. So let's look at some ways that we can combat this bright sun. I'm using today one of these. It's a 5-in-1 reflector. They range from around $30 up to $150, but after you see its uses today, you'll find they're invaluable. These are great, these reflectors. They're cheap as opposed to a flash or anything like that. There's nothing in them to break. There's no mechanical faults or anything like that. It's just a simple reflector. You don't need to color correct after you've been using a reflector as well, because you're reflecting the ambient light in the photo, where usually you need to use gels to color correct flashes. There are a couple of disadvantages as well though. Unfortunately, you're either going to need an assistant to hold the reflector, or you need one of these. This is a special clamp which holds the reflector for you. The only problem with these is when it gets a bit windy, they tend to sort of knock over unless you've got a few sandbags on them. But besides that, this is a great investment. I'm starting out here with using the diffuser part of the reflector kit to diffuse the sun. You need to get that diffuser between the sun and your subject. What you are doing is modifying the light from a small harsh light to a big diffuser light. It fills the subject with a nice even light. Next we used a gold reflector. The gold reflector added a warm feel to the model. We changed the angles of the reflector to fill in the shadows. You can vary the intensity of the fill by moving it further away from the subject. It really gives you that afternoon sunset feel. As you change to the silver, you increase your highlights and the contrast of the shot. Here we use the white reflector. The white reflector is a great way to fill in the shadows in the face, and it doesn't have that high contrast the silver reflector gives you. Sometimes changing a reflector is like an IQ test, and I have failed badly. Thank God I've got my assistants. One of the most underused things on a camera during daylight is your flash. Most people use your flash at night, but the best time to use it is actually during the day, as you use it as fill-in flash to take out the shadows out of the face. So let's take a few shots here using our fill-in flash. You can also vary the intensity of your fill-in flash by using your flash exposure compensation. So you can raise it up or lower the flashing compensation to reduce or increase the amount of flash on the face. Most people think when you're shooting outside that you've got to shoot with your back to the sun. The problem with that is you've got your model or your subject staring directly up towards the sun and squinting, and the shots invariably come out bad. The best way to do it is actually reverse that and have your model with the sun behind her and you shooting through, and as you do that you'll see that you start to get these really nice highlights coming through the hair, and you can use your flash to start to illuminate and take the shadows out of the face as well. And that's the best way to do it. You put the model, the back to the sun, you come through and you fill in the shadows and you get that really nice look. Look at that, that's a great shot. Excellent. Another tip when you're shooting outdoors is to always use one of these, a lens hood. They dramatically reduce lens flare, which is a real nightmare when you're shooting outside. An alternative to shooting out in the bright sun is to simply move into the shade. We've moved under the shade of this tree, and as you look in the shade, you'll find that there's a sweet spot in the shade. As we move around, so we ask the subject to move around, we start to move around here, and then you look at the face and you see there it is. There's the perfect angle where the face is correctly illuminated in the shade. So next time you're shooting the shade, make sure you look out for that sweet spot.